Good morning. It is early in Southern California. It is 9:04 a.m. It's Saturday. Oh, I got something hanging from my hair here. I got daughters. They shaggy sometimes. Anyways, good morning, everybody. We're going to roll through these hellos. Hello, Fahima and Harish. And I'm not sure, but whoever you are, good morning. Looks like that might be... No, it's not Candy. Let's see. It looks like that is... I don't know who that is, actually. Hello. Oh, it is Aisha. Aisha, you are not showing up here, but good morning. Hello, Candy and Corinne and Shanky. I think that's how you say it, Shanky. Who said good evening, sir? Let's see. I just like to tell you guys good evening here. Oh, good evening here. Yeah, good evening here is no Gwen. Look, if you are posting a comment and you see it like that, what that is your settings. You just need to adjust your security settings to share with third parties, and then we'll see your picture and your name. Good morning, Mahood. I'm doing good. How are you doing? It is Saturday. It's the weekend, so I'm excited to take a little bit of break. Now, look, I do this twice a week. I do this for you guys. It's my day off, but I still want to help you. So here I am, and I know it's evening. I know it's 9:35 in India right now, but I do it on Monday, and the Monday show I do is later, right? It's 12:35 for you guys in the morning. So this is my opportunity to help, the job seekers from India. Any of your questions, please share them. I also, in case you don't know, I have a show that comes on for you in India at 12:35. 12:30 in the afternoon for you on Sundays. It's Saturday evening for me at midnight, but I do it for you guys. It's called International Networking with Ira Bowman. But you can ask me your job search questions then too. So 2 opportunities a week to see me live in a time that is a little bit more reasonable for you. I know that the 9:00 at night, 9:30 at night is not the most convenient probably, but hopefully it works for you. Maybe your kids are already to bed. You haven't, it's not time for you to go to bed yet. So hopefully it works. So anyways, there it is. I don't know how to say that. Subhajit, maybe? I'm not sure. Anyways, hello, welcome. Sam, welcome. There you go, Nilgan. See, so here, look. Nilgan went from being LinkedIn user with no picture to being able to see it. Very good job. No, never mind. I misread that. That's Alicia saying hi to Nilgan. Anyways, I was going to give you props for fixing it, but anyways. Don't let anyone tell you can't dance. No, I cannot dance. But I do have rhythm. I play the drums. I've been a musician my whole life. So I do have rhythm. I just, dancing. I don't dance. I chair dance. Good morning from Holland. Thank you very much. What time is it in Holland? Good morning, Carol. So yeah, let me know what time it is, right? Like if you're in the UAE or if you're in India, if you're in, wherever you're at, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the East Coast, wherever you are, let us know where you're at. Because look, this, beyond just getting your questions answered, another thing that you can do in here, I have recruiters and employers who come and watch these shows. So I want them to see you. I want them to know where you're from. I want them to know what you're looking to do, like what's your skill set. You know what I mean? Also, always try to keep it positive, even when you're frustrated. Okay, this is a little tip. Always look. It's a long, difficult journey for most of you to go from not having a job to having a job. So when you're phrasing your questions, when you're voicing your frustrations, always try to keep it positive. That's one of the things what people, follow me from all over the world. Why do they follow me? Right? Well, one of the things is I give real advice, practical advice, but also you very rarely see me frustrated, right? we all get frustrated. It's natural. It's even correct. But the way we express it, we need to keep a positive spin on it because when other people see us, that might be the only opportunity or chance or time they ever see you. So you don't want to come off across as negative and bitter because nobody wants to hire negative and bitter. You're a job seeker. You want to be seen in a positive light. So keep that in mind, please, because I promise you, you're on social media on a big network right now, right? You may or may not know. I have a lot of followers, which is why they gave me LinkedIn Live, which is great, right? And now a lot of people have LinkedIn Live, so I know it's not as I don't know. It's not as special, maybe. It's not as uncommon. Everybody has a show, so we've kind of drowned it or flooded out the market with shows for you to watch. But anyways, all that being said, I'm very thankful that you're here. Pardon me as I clean my glasses. I want to be able to read. If you already have a job seeker question, go ahead and throw that in the comments. If you don't have a question yet, make sure that you put a hello in the comments and tell us where you're from, what you'd like to do, and if you want to do it in a different place. Like, let's say right now you live in, like I do, Los Angeles, California, and you want to move to England, London, right? You want to go to London, England. Sorry. I have dyslexia. A lot of you don't know that. I have dyslexia. So when you see me like misspell something or say something backwards, I'm really not an idiot. I might not be as smart as I should be, but I'm not an idiot. At just my brain. That's the way my brain works, right? I say things backwards all the time. I see it backwards. I say it backwards, and I think it backwards sometimes. Sometimes I think it right, and I see it right, and I say it wrong. Anyways, it's a lot of fun. So forgive me, please, for being human. Good morning. We've got a ton of people. If I didn't get to your hello yet, I will get to it here shortly. I do try to put up all the comments. Morning, no questions, but just wanted to appreciate what you do. Thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate that too. Where are you coming to me from? And what time is it there? Michael Norton is one of my friends on LinkedIn. Good morning, Michael. He is a Zig Ziglar guy, and I'm a Zig Ziglar guy. I love Zig Ziglar. In full disclosure, Zig had as much impact on me uh, as like a sales mentor as one could have without ever meeting or talking to. I never met him, right? I never met him. I just read his books, but I fell in love with his brain and his faith. We have similar faiths. And so, Zig Ziglar is somebody like if you're in business, if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to learn how to sell things, really just how to treat people, honestly. Zig Ziglar, great guy. Michael is connected to him in a cool way, right? I think you work with his son, something like that. Anyways, I don't know the whole story. I just know that Michael's cool. Professor Pete, good morning, my friend. Professor Pete is a marketing genius, but also he is the owner of PeteAlexander.com. It's a stress relief website. He has an amazing story. And if you are stressed out, look, job seekers, it's a high stress situation. You want a free resource? I'm even going to put it in the comments for you, Pete. I just want you to go to PeteAlexander.com. Thought I posted it. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay. Go to PeteAlexander.com. Go there. You can get all kinds of stress tips. It's all free, 100%. It's just like Project Help You Grow. Free help. In fact, I just got done loading your logo and website on the new partners tab at Pananos, Professor Pete. Check it out. You are on the board with your fancy logo and everything. It is 100% correct. I was working for Pananos yesterday. So anyways, there you go. Let's see. Let's come back to, I like Bravo. That as a salutation is awesome. Layla? Is that how you say it? I probably butchered it. Sorry. But welcome. Good evening. Are you coming to me from Brazil? I'm just guessing. Cabela, it's afternoon in South Africa. Okay, so are you in actually South Africa or are you in like Mozambique or something around it? I know a little bit about Africa. Anyways, good afternoon. What time is it there? In Algiers, it's 5 p.m. Well, it is time for dinner, but welcome. Oh, here we go. He said it. So it's 4:05. So you're just an hour less or behind Nigeria's. Okay. And it is 6:08 for my friend in Luxembourg. I love saying that. I don't know why I like to say it that way, but I just do. Michael is in New Jersey. We won't hold that against you, Michael. I'm in California. Totally just kidding with you. In Nigeria, it's 5:09. Okay, so it's 9:14 here. So the timing is 9:40 in Bangalore. Yep. Yep. You guys are 12 and a half hours ahead of me in India. The whole country of India has the same time zone, which is kind of cool. In the United States, we have multiple time zones. So where I am in the Pacific time zone, you guys are 12 and a half hours ahead of me. But I think now here's something kind of cool. Yeah, let me tell you, let me give you a secret, Junaid. You send me a message, so does everybody else. If you don't send me a message that catches my attention, your message wasn't good enough, right? If you're trying to spam me, it doesn't work. Sorry. I get too many emails to respond to them all. But I do respond to the ones that are legitimate that catch my attention. So if you sent me one and I didn't respond, it's because your email wasn't good enough to catch my attention, or I wasn't interested. Either way. So there you go. Just full disclosure. I get bombarded because I have hundreds of thousands of people who follow me, right? It's don't take it personally, but you know, I can't spend 15 minutes with everybody who asks me for 15 minutes because that's about 100 people a day. I don't have that kind of time. So when you send me a direct message, if you send one that says like "Hello, sir," I'm not going to respond. If you send me one that says "Hey, can we meet for 15 minutes?" but you don't tell me what we're going to meet about, and or you send me something that's not interesting to me, I won't respond because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. But I run 3 businesses. I have a bunch of clients. I'm a married father of well, I'm married and I'm a father of 8, right? I spend time with my wife and kids. So there's all that. Plus I serve at my church, which is kind of cool. So I have, the stuff that I do with my church. Hello, and I need a job. Perfect. That's what you're here for. What kind of job? What you looking for? Tell us what you're looking for. Can you hire a salesperson who's not data driven or technology savvy and expect success? Absolutely. You certainly can, as long as they're good at talking to people and they care about helping people. If you are a salesperson, there's all kinds of different successful salespeople. There are certainly the analytical, data driven, technology savvy folks. There are people that are analytical but aren't tech savvy. There are tech savvy folks that aren't. I've hired and managed all kinds of salespeople that can be successful. The one thing they have to have is the ability to communicate with others. So if you cannot communicate well, you cannot be good at sales. Not not for any length of time. You might get lucky here or there. But if you're going to be successful in sales, you have to be able to communicate. I think, and this is a Zig Ziglar thing, you have to care about people. You have to express that you care about them. Which, if you get to know me at all, you'll understand that's what my heart is, right? I want to help people. Project Help You Grow was created to help others, and I do it for free, 100%. Michael, if you're not familiar with Project Help You Grow, I started it a few years ago. It is a web board. It's a job board, but it's a website that helps, or the ambition is to help job seekers connect with recruiters and employers for free. I don't make any money. I don't have any advertisements on it. I have one sponsor who pays me a little bit of money every month, which I appreciate, but it doesn't cover the expenses of it. So it's a labor of love. And anyways, that's the kind of mindset that a person needs to be most successful in sales. You can be successful with and still be selfish. There are plenty of selfish salespeople out there, but the most successful ones, I think, the ones who win at life and at sales, are the ones who have a giving, caring spirit. Anyways, good question. Hello, I'm from North Carolina. I want to work in higher education. I would love to work here or in Switzerland or in the UAE. Okay, that's kind of cool. So there's a lot there to unpack. Higher education, it's easier to move around because it's more of a niche. So depending on your qualifications, what field you are teaching in, you might be able to write your own ticket to UAE or to Switzerland. The first thing that I would recommend is pick pick a place. And the UAE is bigger than just, you know what I mean? Like pick a place. That's the very first thing. that I would recommend. Pick a place, and then you can work on a strategy from there. My friend Biana, who's been on the show as a guest, welcome. 6 p.m. in Slovenia, because that's where she's from. Do you like how I said Slovenia? I like it. I'm getting a little bit of a Euro accent today. I don't know what it is. It's not really a Euro accent. It's me pretending I get one. You are in Texas. Now, Texas is a big place. Where are you in Texas? I used to live in Texas. I used to live in Hill Country. They're in a little town called New Braunfels. If you are familiar with the water park Slitterbahn, that is where I used to live. If you're not familiar with Slitterbahn and New Braunfels, that's okay. Most people aren't. You might be familiar with a little town called Austin or San Antonio. If you were to take a bullseye and put it between the two, kind of there in the middle. Not quite, a little bit closer to San Antonio than Austin by about 10 miles, but almost in the middle. Anyways, that's where I used to live. It is, oh, she's in the UAE. So I thought you were from Brazil because of the Bravo, but she's in the UAE. So there you go. Riam, if you want, talk to Layla. Maybe she knows somebody who is in the HR field there in the UAE. Actually, in South Africa. Very cool. Very cool indeed. What is the town that you live in? I'm trying to learn here. I'm from Indian. It's 9:43. Missing KB. Yeah, I miss her. Look, she was one of my best friends. Okay, so I definitely miss her too. And I miss her posts. And I miss her help. And that's one of the reasons why I do this twice a week. I'm trying to help fill in the void. Nobody can. She was an awesome person. She worked at this full time. She worked, 12 to 15 hours every day. It's pretty much impossible to replace Kirsty Bonner, my friend. I'm from Bombay, Indiana, and would like to know, in the current pandemic situation, is it advisable to explore migration options? It is. It's just a little bit harder than it used to be. So the very first thing that I would tell you, Conrad, is pick a place. And if, you don't really care, Canada or Australia. The first thing I would say is the weather there in those two countries is a million miles different, right? Like snow and igloos in one and hotter than hell in the other. So which would you feel more comfortable with? But pick one, pick a spot, because you need a strategy, right? You need to have a full thought out strategy. Once you pick your place, a country is a large place. Canada is humongous. I know if you're in India, you think that you're in the biggest place in the world. You're in one of the largest places or most dense places for people, but you're not in any stretch in a big piece of land. India is not bigger landmass than Australia, and Canada is probably 2 times the size of Australia and India. Like if you added the landmass of India and Australia together, that's Canada, maybe. I think Canada is bigger than both of if you add those two combined. Size of the land, not the density of the people. You understand there's a difference. So you need to figure out where, guys. You can't just have a dream and go, well, I'd like to move somewhere and I think Canada sounds cool. Like pick a place. I want to live in Ontario. How do you do it? Google. Use Google. Research. Meet people on LinkedIn and ask them about the place. Like, hey, how much snow do you get? In June, what's the high temperature? In January, what's the high temperature? Stuff like that. You could look up the history, go to like Wikipedia and look up the history of these places, the culture of these places. You might want to move to a place that has a large portion of Indians, for example, so you feel more comfortable when you live there, because your culture, you'll have some cultural ties. Totally smart. I'm going to tell you, in the United States, I used to live in a place called Manteca. It's up in the Bay Area, but it's just east of the Bay Area. So it's in the Central Valley, but it's a bedroom community where most people commute into the Bay Area. 55 miles away from San Francisco is where it's at. Okay. So I lived there. In my neighborhood, it was about 50% people from India. Lot of Indians. There's a town there called Fremont, California, which is in the Bay Area proper. I don't know what the percentage of Indians is, but it's really high. Okay. There are pockets or communities where there are lots of people from India already in the United States and other parts of the world too. Obviously, Canada and Australia, I'm sure, no exception. Why? Because there's a billion people in India and some of you guys move out, right? You're trying to find more breathing space or whatever. I totally get it. Okay. But the thing is, you have to like fill in systematically to have a legitimate shot. Because as we talked about last week at nauseum, and I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I don't want to repeat. You can just go watch. Go to projecthelpyougrow.com, which is right above my head. Go to that website. There's a tab called Ask Ira in the menu. You can replay last week's episode, and I give a very detailed answer. I think it's about 15 minutes long on my strategy for finding a job in a foreign country. But to answer your question specifically, yes, you can still find a job in a foreign country even in the pandemic. Now, the location you pick will play a large factor in that. Canada, I believe, right now is one of the more easy places in the world to migrate to even today. Okay. So that's good news for you. But because of COVID, moving and stuff is hard. Pick a city in Canada if that's your choice. Now, remember, it's really, really cold. I don't know if you've heard of this thing called snow, but it snows. It snows a lot. I was talking to somebody yesterday. The high for the day was -4 Celsius. Wow, that's cold. Anyways, it was 40 degrees Celsius here yesterday. It was October 16th and it was 40 degrees Celsius in Los Angeles, California. Well, in full disclosure, I live inland, but anyways, greater Los Angeles. Okay. -4 versus 40 is a huge difference. When you look at us on the map, you go, oh, it's just one country over. Well, that one country over is a lot. It's a huge difference. This is what I mean. Even Canada, right? You look at Canada and you go, well, what about Vancouver? What about Ontario? If you want to know what I'm looking at, I've got a global map up there. I've got a world map and I've got a United States map too, in full disclosure, right? Okay, so Vancouver versus Ontario, the difference in miles, I think, is something like 3,200 miles. That's a lot of miles. Anyways, pick a place, do your research. Here's what you want to look up too. Besides all the cultural stuff, which is important, you also want to look up, the weather stuff, which is important, but you also want to look up the industries. What industries are there? What industry are you in? We haven't even talked about that, right? What do you do? Do they have a labor shortage for what you do in that area? That's going to determine the answer to your question, not only now, but even later. Let's say you're an electrical engineer. I don't know, whatever you are, right? You're an electrical engineer. If you're an electrical engineer and you're trying to move to Vancouver, Canada, and Vancouver, Canada already has saturated with electrical engineers, the odds of you being successful are not very high. But let's say they have a shortage there because it is super cold, right? And it's on the West Coast, not the East Coast. So it's less densely populated, even for Canada, which Canada itself is very, it has a very small population, anyways, especially when you consider the size of the land mass. But that's because of all the snow. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. It takes a special bird to be able to live in Canada where you're going to freeze to death. Okay, so if you can handle all that, right? Vancouver is probably an easier place for you to go as an electrical engineer than trying to go to Toronto. Just as an example. Okay, so anyways, hopefully that all helps you. Long-winded answer, but hopefully it was helpful. Unemployed for almost a year. Okay. Yeah, no, you have left stones unturned because you haven't found a job, but it's most likely, well, first of all, let's get this rat off the table. Okay. A 1-year job search is not atypical. It's not uncommon. I know it's frustrating because you all feel like you deserve a job, and you do, but businesses aren't open to hire you. That's not why they went in business, if that makes sense, right? They need employees. They're going to hire people, so they will hire people when it makes sense for them to do that. But they didn't open their doors to hire anybody, right? That nobody opens a business. I didn't open Bowman Digital Media to hire people. I did it so I could feed my own family, right? So the point of view, but pre-COVID-19, before the pandemic hit, the average job search was 6 to 7 months, depending on what industry and where you were. 6 to 7 months. That was pre-pandemic, before when we had relatively low unemployment rate. There wasn't as much competition. When you have 5 times the competition, Now, I have not seen data on this, so I don't know how much more time has that added to the average job search. I don't have data on that. So anything I would tell you would be a guess. But I'm presuming that that did add more time, in fact, quite a bit more time. So you might actually, even though you feel like, oh my goodness, I am never going to find a job, hang in there, Harish. Hang in there. Now, let me give you some real world practical advice. Now that you know that you're not alone, that there are many, many others, millions and millions of others who are in that same boat. They've been searching for a long time. Okay. Project Help You Grow has resources that are all free. There is nothing, you don't pay for anything. You don't even have to create an account. And I don't want you to unless you want to increase your own visibility. That's the only reason you need to create an account on Project Help You Grow is if you want to increase your visibility across social media. Okay. Because it will help you with that. But if you don't want that, if you're hiding or whatever, then don't do that. But if you are not hiding and you want to boost your social media, create a profile. That's fine, but you don't need to. Go onto the blog, read, and here's what I want you to read. I have articles on just about everything you can think of. Everything that I put in the show topic, I have an article on. Okay. So if you're not getting the interviews, tell me where you're getting stuck, Harish. Let's have a little bit more conversation, you and I. Tell me down in the comments. Are you getting interviews? Are you not getting interviews? If you're getting the interviews, are you getting second and third round interviews, or are you getting just one? Where you're getting stuck will help us identify where you need to make your adjustments. Okay. So again, have faith. You will find a job, and know this: I will help you find a job faster if you will follow my advice. What I ask people to do is not easy. A lot of people say they're going to do it and then they figure out all the work it takes and they give up. But it's the real world, and the real world requires effort to be successful. There is no magic button. But I will help you find a job faster and easier, and hopefully help you with your mentality too, right? Because obviously I can see the frustration. But let me congratulate you on keeping that note positive. You did exactly what I told you in the beginning of the show. If you're frustrated, do it, vent it, but don't do it in a negative light. Don't come across as bitter or anything else. And you didn't. You did a good job with that. So excellent. Ira, hope you're all good. Thanks for doing this. Applied for a job a month ago. I did a phone and a Zoom interview. Yep. Okay. Definitely qualified. Also have a contact in the company, which is very helpful. He put in a good word for me. Perfect. But I haven't heard anything yet. Okay. It's been a month. I'm very anxious. Yeah, a month is a bad sign. It's a position that they do want to fill, don't know what to think. Yeah. Okay. So, Joseph, I'm going to move that just because you're covering my face. It's kind of weird to have type over my face. Okay. So, here's the thing. In your interviews, you always want to ask, always, what is the time frame for me to expect a response? For better or for worse, you want to know, okay, they're obviously in a process, a hiring process. When can I expect to hear a follow-up? When will you be following up with me? If they don't tell you that and you don't ask, how will you know? Like, you may not be in any danger at all. This might just be the natural progression. Let me explain. Most jobs now, most jobs that are advertised, people are, just inundated with applications. And some companies will, sorry, I have people emailing me and stuff in the show. It's throwing me off. I hate it that my computer does that. It's like, stop it. Okay. Anyways, they're getting so many applicants who are applying for jobs that it takes a while to get through them all. So if you're on the front end, the beginning of the interview, okay, they may have 3 or 4 weeks of first round interviews set up before they get to round 2. But you can ask them in the interview, and you should. Okay, when can I expect a follow up? When should I, if I don't hear from you, when should I follow up with you? And then you want to ask them how: phone, email, text. Because some people, like for me, I really don't like it when people call me on the phone without an appointment. I really don't. I think it's rude because you're just assuming that I have time for you at that very moment, which I don't most of the time because I schedule my day. So I would much rather you send me an email or a text message and ask me, "Hey, when can I get on your calendar so we can talk about," and then fill in the blanks. So in this case, it would be, "Hey, I'm just checking in to see if you've made a decision. Am I still in the running?" And that's the email that I'm advising you to send now after a month. I wouldn't call them. I would email. Say, "Hey, just checking in. Want to make sure I'm still in the running. I've been continuing to search on my own." And this is where some people do get creative. I always recommend telling the truth. Some people will like try to put a, I've got interest from other people or whatever. I don't suggest that you make stuff up, but you just want to be transparent. You want to communicate. It's like, don't stop. And this is the other thing I hope you haven't done, Joseph. I'm still talking to you. I don't care how excited you are about a job. I don't care how well you think the interview went. You don't ever stop looking for a job until you're on board. Even after the offer comes in, you should still be working on finding a job because something can fall apart. I know too many people who have had a contract. They've signed a contract. The company sent them an offer. They signed it. They turned it back in. And before the onboarding started, the job fell apart. Being excited about a job doesn't mean you stop searching. So hopefully I haven't done that. And hopefully I've answered your question. So the advice that I have for you right now is, right now, write that email. And I would use the expression, just checking in to see if I'm still under consideration, right? They may or may not want to tell you they've hired somebody. I know from talking to many hiring managers and my own personal experience as a former hiring manager that I didn't always want to tell my second choice and my third choice that I had hired right away. Because again, the person I picked might not pass the background check, the screening, the drug check, all that stuff. It happens. And then it's like, well, if the person I picked falls apart, I want to bring in number two or number three. Now, I learned as I got a little more seasoning that I could tell the people, my second and third choice, like, look, there was somebody who I picked above you, but you're my second choice, you're my third choice. And if anything falls apart with them, I'm going to reach back out to you. And I found that actually was appreciated and a pretty good strategy. I only had a couple people ever tell me when I told them that. They're like, whatever, I'm not working for you then. Right. But most people are gracious about it. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Well, and then they start praying, I hope that one falls apart. But anyways, just reach out and say, look, it's been a month. I'm just checking to see if I'm still under consideration. And then make sure you continue to look. Don't stop looking. Okay. Next one here. I'm living in Algeria. I'm looking for a job in Europe, mostly France. Okay. Why not all of France? Why not? Why is it just mostly France? But I don't know what's the best approach for that. I keep applying. Yeah, of course. It's not ghosting. Look, you guys need to learn what the definition of ghosting is. Ghosting is not when you don't get an answer from somebody. Ghosting is when you can reasonably expect to get an answer from somebody and then they don't do it, right? Like you have an appointment with them. I had one yesterday at 5:30 p.m. I was there on the call. The person didn't show up. I sent them a message. Are we still on? No response. That's ghosting. Okay. Ghosting is when crap. Okay. Ghosting is when you have an appointment, or let's say you've had an interview. You've had an interview with someone and you say, like Joseph, for example, you've had an interview, you reach out back to them and you go, hey, I'm just checking to see if I'm still in the running for the job, just like I advised Joseph to do, and they don't respond. That would be ghosting. That would be ghosting. Okay. So when you're applying but not hearing anything back, That's just, you didn't make the cut line. You have to understand where you're at. You are so far from consideration, you didn't even make the interview cut line. That's not ghosting. Most people will not tell you when you don't make the interview line anything. They don't feel like they owe you. And you have to consider where they're coming from. They're getting thousands of applicants submitting. You didn't make the cut line. Why didn't you make the cut line? Well, it could be a lot of things. It probably has something to do, first and foremost, that you're not from France. You're from Algeria. They probably have a little bit of a security scam. Sorry, I hit the mic. You know what I mean? But Algeria has a reputation for scams. So you're going to have to overcome that, whether that's right or wrong, but that's just the truth of it, right? When I see an email come across my desk from Algeria, I have to go, hey, is that somebody trying to scam me? It is the reputation that you guys have, for better or for worse. So you'll have to address that. But also, are you keyword matching? Are you actually qualified? You think you're qualified. You say you're qualified, but are you as qualified as the people they're picking? You know what I mean? There's all kinds of stuff that goes into that. I do have strategies on Project Help You Grow to help you get the resume, and also how to job search and find a job abroad. So first things first, in France, pick a city that you really want to work in. Don't say I want to live in France. Say I want to live in Paris or wherever. Pick a city. It'll help you. Start doing your research. Start building your network connections with people from that area, right? You got to have a multi-pronged approach. It's not easy to find a job in a foreign field, guys. I mean, a lot of you dream about moving. I totally get it. But it's just a dream. And dreams don't come true for the most part. You have to make a plan. Plans require specifics. You can start with, I want to move to France one day. Okay, that's a start. But then you have to start, like, building on it. Now, I want to live in, southern France or western France or whatever. And then you're going to pick a city. Now, how do you do it? I suggest, if you don't care, do what I said with Canada. Start looking up the regions. Look up the temperatures, because some of the temperatures in France might be more acceptable to you than others. Look up the cost of living. You might find that one part of the country is more expensive to live in than the other. So you can start to do all that. What religion are you? You might find, well, in this part of France, my religion has, organized, established presence already. And in other parts, it doesn't. And if your religion is important to you, which it is to me, then that would be something that I would want, to move to a place that has an established church, or whatever you guys call it, whatever religion you are, because I don't really care about that. I'm just saying, right? That's something, quality of life. So you start to look, and then there's the cost of living, which we talked about, but there's also then, again, is what you do in demand in that part of France or the country you want to move into, right? Is there a shortage for what you do? Is it in demand, and is there a shortage? Because those are two different things, but it's important. If I want to move to a place, and I'm a graphics designer, I make videos and I make all this. Now, for me, the region doesn't matter because I work globally, right? But when I was in printer sales, and I did printer sales for 20 years, when I was selling these printers, just because I wanted to move to a place doesn't mean there was a job available for me. I'll give you a perfect example. I really wanted to move to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I did. I called all the different print shops in Grand Rapids, Michigan, to see if they were hiring for sales folks. And guess what? None of them were. So I didn't move to Grand Rapids, Michigan, even though I really wanted to, because there wasn't a job for me. At the time, I didn't consider any other type of work, because that was my career. I was in printing. So anyways, there you go. People helping people. Love it. I've been doing leadership positions for almost 11 years. Okay, perfect. So leadership positions in what? Anyways, you got to get specific. Okay, so you want to search, do a Google search. Leadership, like I'm a Are you a CEO? Are you a CFO? Are you a COO? Are you, a director of marketing or design, whatever, right? So what type of leadership role are you doing? A lot of times those are jobs that, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a job moving countries into a leadership role in the design space. That's a tough one, right? So you might have to get a job locally and then hope for a transfer, honestly. But I kind of forgot what your deal was. I know it's up above, but anyways, the response took a while for me to get to. Sorry about that. Hello from Morocco. Hello. Well, it wasn't IE, it was Y, but Kirsty was certainly a beautiful person. She definitely had her uh, demons to deal with, but she was a beautiful soul for sure. Hello, welcome. I want to start a business in South Africa. I have no idea where to start. The very first thing to do is to come up with a winning idea, right? Do you have the idea? Because if not, I mean, there are things that you could do, I guess. Like my wife sells Sensi. It's a multi-level, I don't know, business, whatever you want to call it. But anyways, so you can buy in for relatively cheap. They have established products and marketing materials and all that stuff. So that's one way to do it. My wife's been doing it for 5 years. She's very successful with it. It's a blessing for sure. So that's one thing that you could do. But if you want to start a business from scratch, you have to come up with a winning idea. What is something that you're good at and a solution to a problem that is prevalent where you are, right? Like for me, I help people increase sales quickly by design. That's what Bowman Digital Media does. We help people increase their sales quickly, and I use graphics and design to help them with that. I create videos, I create logos, I help them create marketing pieces and advertising pieces and sales materials and all the things that they need to help garner attention. The problem is they don't have enough sales, and my solution helps them get more sales, right? So you need something like that. Hopefully that helps. Hey, my pleasure. I don't know what that says. I'm sorry. I pretty much only read English. I read some Spanish too, but hey, my pleasure. Is a week too soon to follow up after the first interview? No. It helps if you ask in the interview, when should I follow up? Because it's likely they probably, if it's the first interview, they're probably doing nothing but first interviews, and they probably have scheduled at least 2 weeks. But I would say a week is perfect, especially if you didn't ask. I'm actually more impatient than that. Let me help you out. I never don't ask. I always ask that question. There's two questions I'm always going to ask. How do you handle raises and promotions? When can I expect to hear back from you, or when should I follow up? I'm always going to ask those two questions. Never, ever, ever go into an interview without asking those questions, unless you already know the answer to the how do you handle, because it's a second or third interview, and you've already asked how you handle raises and promotions. Why do I have you ask that question? Is because I don't want you to accept a job offer that's on the low end and assume that just because you do a good job for 6 months, they're going to automatically give you a raise. Because I'm telling you, most people don't do that. So, does education come before experience? No, but it depends. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. If you are, well, no, it just that's something that the person hiring has to make that determination. But the answer is yes and no. It does sometimes, and it doesn't sometimes. It just depends. So I love it. I really just got to the end of the list. So 45 minutes in, I think I answered all the questions. If I missed a question, please re-ask it because I don't want to have to go through and read again. But I think I got them all. Whew! Flying solo today. All right. I have another guest scheduled. Kelly Robinson from Panda Knows is going to come up. In fact, while I'm waiting for you guys, if you have a question, go ahead and answer it. But I'm going to show you. I'm in Bowman Digital Media is how I make my living. I run Project Help You Grow. which is the website that most of you guys are using. It's the one listed above my head. You can visit it. It's 100% free. But I was doing some work and I want to show this to you guys in case you're not familiar with it. But hang on, I gotta share my screen. So Pananos is one of the partners of Project Help You Grow, but they sponsor me. Remember, I talk about, I've got one sponsor. This is them. So they proudly sponsor Project Help You Grow. I really appreciate that. So anyways, we just created a couple new pages on here yesterday, including the partners tab, which is kind of cool. So you can come on here. They have job listings on this site. It's Pananos. You can see it right here. Panna knows. And again, this is a sponsor for Project Help You Grow, which helps me keep it going, which is pretty cool. So McGrath Systems, Service Professionals Network, Bowman Digital Media, Project Help You Grow. Anyways, these are the companies that are on their partnership tab, and this is brand new. So come check it out. And you can look for careers right here on the careers tab. There are job openings. You can check it out. Okay. Anyways, so that is Pananos. And then I'm still waiting for questions. So if anybody has a question, by all means, go ahead and ask. And if you have not told us where you're from, what you do, and what type of work you're looking for, or where you're looking to find it. Like, for example, it is perfectly okay for you to say, hey, I want to live in Canada and I want to work, in Toronto or wherever. That's totally cool. Like, I'm not saying you can't say that. I will help you figure out how. In fact, I'm going to go to my website. I'm going to go to projecthelpyougrow.com. Let's just go there together. Okay. So here we are. We're at projecthelpyougrow.com. If you want to find a job in a foreign country, what I want you to do is come here to this blog, the blog page. Come there. Click on that thing. And then I want you to scroll down. I've got all kinds of different articles in here. Okay. I want you to scroll down to this one. How to land a job in a foreign country. I want you to click on that thing and I want you to read it. Okay. I give you 5 practical tips in here on how to help you land that job in a foreign country, right? I'm not saying you can't do it. Let me make it bigger, okay? Here's some advice. Being flexible, taking a step back. I explain what all this is in the article, by the way. Applying at multinational companies, which is right now the number one thing that I suggest. The advice here is, at the time I wrote it, this was my number 3 thing, but it's my number 1 thing right now. So let me look at you in the face while I say this. It will really help your case. Let's go back to that Algiers, right? Okay. If you want to work in France, what you want to do is you want to find a company that has an office where you are and also where you want to be. Work for them locally first and then work on a transfer. Get them to transfer you as a strategy. That is the technique. That is probably the best way to do this. But I had advice from Catherine McCord. Catherine McCord was on the show last week. And she had it's an addition. It's additional technique that you can use. It comes in the form of working remotely. So if you can go in, work for somebody remotely first. So they're not bringing you into their country. They're just having you work for them from where you are now. But the fact is, once you build that relationship and you start to work for them remotely, but they see your work ethic, you become invaluable part of their team. The opportunity can present itself later. Again, none of these are like magic buttons that are going to happen overnight. These are all long-term. It's a long-term game. Okay. It's a long-term strategy. So, but if you can get on board with them remotely, that's another thing. And then she was talking about, temp hire positions, basically working for a staffing agency, getting in there that way. So it could be contract work. It could be temp to hire situation, could be remote situation, could be multinational company where you work locally and then work on a transfer. There are a lot of different ways to try to help you get that job in that place where you want to be. And so I have that article right here, and the article is called How to Land a Job in a Foreign Country. So it's there. It's been there since October of 2019. Now, again, this was obviously pre COVID 19. So if I was writing it today, I would reorder the steps, but the steps remain the same. Okay. Networking online and in person. Look, a lot of you are failing at this. There are groups for just about everything on social media, and not just LinkedIn, by the way. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, all these other places, Twitter. Meet people who live and work in the areas that you want to live and work. Make friends with them, because if you can build these friendships, when I don't know you, I'm less likely to help you. Once I get to know you and I like you, now I'm very likely to help you. You understand what I mean? So every day, work on building friends. Work on it. I teach you how to do it. Okay. In the article. Making sure your CV, resume, and cover letter are top notch. Now, I would write this differently today. What I would say is make sure that they are keyword, they're keyword optimized, they're ATS compliant. It really needs to be such. You need to be qualified, but you also need to make sure, and this is the other part, and I do talk about this in the article, I believe. In fact, I'm going to switch over to, let me get closer to you, okay? If you are in India and you're used to using a CV, because regionally, that's what you use, and you're applying for a job in, let's say, I don't know, Los Angeles, because that's where I am, you're not going to use a CV. You need to make sure that you're verifying the type of paperwork that you should be submitting. What's appropriate to be submitted in the region that you're applying? How do you find that out? That's what recruiters are great for, right? Reach out to a recruiter, a local recruiter, and go, hey, I live in XYZ. I see that you are posting a job for ABD, ABC, sorry, ABD. Dyslexia is awesome. Okay, ABC. And before I submit any paperwork to be considered, I just want to double check with you. Can you send me the requirements? Like what they may not. You might have to reach out to a few because you're asking them to do something. Or you can just simply ask, like, hey, I typically use a CV. Is that okay? Or should I be using a resume? And then you can ask things like, should I have a photo? Because, for example, in certain places, and India is one of them, when you submit your CV, you're going to have your picture in the CV, right? Well, you don't do that in the United States. If you do that in the United States, the ATS is going to boink you out. You're not even going to get seen, right? In most cases. There are some ATSs that will allow you to have a picture, but most don't. Okay. So just know, because even if they do see it, you don't want to be the odd duckling. You don't want to be the one who sticks out for that. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. Because what that tells them is you don't know our culture wherever you're trying to get hired, right? You want to fit in. One of the risks that people have in hiring a foreign employee is that when they come in, they will be culturally different and it'll be like an irritant. It won't be a good thing. You know what I mean? It's all great when someone comes in from another place and everybody's friendly and they get along, and it just adds some diversity and it spices it up in a good way. But like if you're talking about making a dessert and you're some salt and you add salt to it and now you've ruined the flavor, it's a risk. It's definitely a risk. So one of the ways you can show them that you're not going to disturb their culture is by fitting in from the very beginning, from the moment you submit your application. When they look at it, It looks just like everybody else's. It reads just like everybody else's. You've done your homework. You know what you need to submit. A lot of people fail on that because hiring practices, even from one industry to another, vary. Certainly, they vary from region to region and country to country and continent to continent. It is not exactly the same everywhere. That's one of the reasons why people struggle with this, because you only know what you know, but you don't have an excuse. If you are trying to get a job in a foreign place, it's your obligation to do your homework, or you're not being ghosted. That's not what you're being. You're being eliminated from consideration because you don't meet the minimum requirements. And nobody is calling every single person who applies to them. I don't care how many people say they do. You're a liar. You don't call 5,000 people who applied for a job that aren't eligible. You're going to call back the 50 people that you interviewed. I get that. And you should. You absolutely should. You're not being a hero. You're doing what you're supposed to do. But you're not calling every single person who hit the apply button. You're just not. And I don't believe for a second there's anybody out there who does that. I've had some people make that claim. That's why I'm saying all this. It's not true. It can't be true. Okay. So, anyways, hopefully that all helps. Let's see. Sonia says, "I'm Sonia. I'm looking for an executive admin assistant position. I am in Indiana, not India. I've always worked in downtown Chicago, so I'm open to work in Chicago, which is good because there's a lot of jobs there. Northwest Indiana or remote. I have also created my own virtual assistant business and looking for clients also." This is smart. I actually really like this. And Bowman Coaching, you may notice, Sonia, that I have Bowman Coaching down in my bottom right. I don't know how you see it, but it's the bottom right corner for me. Okay. So Bowman Coaching, I was working in the print business. I've been in the print business for 20 plus years. And so I was working in the print business, and, I started to grow my social media network, from like 1,500 people in 2018. And I got to 100,000 people in 2019. Actually, I got to 130,000, but who's counting? Anyways, as that happened, people kept asking me for lessons like, "Hey, how'd you do it? And what can I do?" And, I started to teach people, but then I was getting more and more requests for these lessons. I'm like, I just can't keep doing this because, I don't have the time. So then I said, well, how do I pick which ones I'm going to help and which ones I'm not going to help? So I said, well, money, I'll charge. And the ones who really want my help will pay. And the ones who don't really want my help, they won't pay. And that'll be fine. So, anyways, did that, started Bowman Coaching, and still was working in 2019, even in 2020, until I got laid off, right? So I love it. You can do the virtual assistant stuff. It's a great way to step into entrepreneurship, I think is what I'm trying to say, right? You can work a Monday through Friday normal job and then start something on the side. And as it grows, maybe, you can scale it back. I love it because now Bowman Coaching, actually, I'm going to pull this up. I have 3 websites. I don't know how closely you guys follow me, right? But I have Project Help You Grow, which is my first website. My second website, most people don't know about. And my third website is Bowman Digital Media, which most of you know, right? So what is my second website? Well, it's my name, irabowman.com. If you go to irabowman.com, now when I first created it, it was a hobby site. It was for everything that wasn't Project Help You Grow, basically. So anyways, there was a little bit of confusion because I make videos and I make graphics and I do social media stuff, and I was doing Bowman Coaching. So there was a little bit of everything on here for that. But I just redid this earlier this week. I spent 12 hours basically updating my site. And so anyways, come to irabowman.com. This is not like Project Help You Grow. Not everything's free. There are no ads or anything. I don't do that on any of my sites, frankly, because I think that's ugly. But if you're looking for free stuff on Bowman Coaching, you can get it right here. So go to irabowman.com and then hit the Bowman Coaching tab. And here's all the 60 seconds with Bowman Coaching video series all in one spot for you. Okay. So you can catch them all there. And that's free. You don't have to pay anything. Now, if you want to book a session, you can hit this here. And I do, offer coaching for $100 an hour. Okay. So if you hit book a session, just send me some information. But I explain what it is. You get the coaching session recorded, so you get it for future use. But we can cover sales strategy, social media strategy, or business coaching. And anyways, you just send me this stuff, and that comes to me, and then we set up an appointment. So, anyways, that's irabowman.com. You can learn more about my story. Now, if you're on LinkedIn, you can just go to my LinkedIn profile and get the same information because I copied and pasted it basically. But, anyways, this is a little bit about me and what I can do for you, right? Like, stop struggling. There's no need to struggle with accomplishing your branding, advertising, marketing, or sales efforts on social media. If you found it tough to get the results you are looking for, try watching the 60 Seconds with Bowman coaching video series. That's free. And then consider booking a session with me to help you build a winning strategy for your specific needs. And this really, guys, this is why most of you are failing because you're winging it. You don't have a strategy that matches your ambition. So it's just a dream. What's the difference between a dream and a goal? Having a plan, an executable plan. So there's that. How to win brownie points with Ira. Tell me that my project Help You Grow is awesome, and I super appreciate it. Did you know we actually have a group on LinkedIn you can join too? So you can join the LinkedIn group, and you can join the website. And I have a business page, Project Help You Grow, on LinkedIn too, which is kind of fun. So, anyways, there's all that. Hello, Dana. How are you today? Yep, Sonia knows about Project Help You Grow for sure. And hey, my pleasure. Not sure what the thank you very much was for, but my pleasure. So, anyways, we are an hour in. The show is over. Hopefully, I answered all your questions. I think I did. Now, the next time you can catch me live is when? Tonight. It's midnight, baby. Midnight tonight. So, it's technically Sunday morning in California. So, wherever you are, it's midnight for me. So, I think I was the only person on in the United States last time, but we had 1,500 people on the show. It was a huge audience. Okay. So it's tonight, 12:30 p.m., meaning just after lunch in India. Tonight, tomorrow, whatever, Sunday, right? Sunday after lunch in India. It's 8 o'clock in London, right? So Slovenia, I think, is also 8, right? There's a few places where it's 9, but between 8 and noon for Europe and India, right? So Africa, India, the only people, well, no, even Australia, it's going to be 9 p.m. So that's not horrible. Really, the only people that it's hard for are the people in the United States and South America, which I don't have a huge audience from South America anyways. So if you are watching this from someplace other than the United States or Canada, frankly, then you probably can catch it tonight. What is it? It's International Networking with Ira Bowman. I know a little bit about networking. I will teach you. Now, it's kind of fun. I'm going to do some things a little bit differently tonight. I am actually going to invite people to join me on camera. So if you are up at that time and you want to join me on camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in the comments, and you'll click on it. You'll have your camera on. You have to be on a computer. You can't use your phone. I think. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, you have to have a camera. So be prepared, right? Like what happens when you click the link, you'll actually go into my green room, and I'll be able to see you. You won't be on stage. You won't be visible yet, but I'll see. If it looks like you're not camera ready or your environment is questionable, I probably won't bring you on. But if you want to come on, I will be having you on tonight. International networking. What's the point? I want to learn more about you guys. Where are you from? What do you do? If you have a question for me, it could be anything. Like this is a job related one, right? It's job search. Ask Ira, job seekers Q&A. But international networking, you can ask me about business. You can ask me about networking. You can ask me anything you want. If you had a question, I'll pretty much answer it because I'm an open book. So anyways, it'll be a lot of fun. The goal of it is to have fun, to get to know each other, to help you guys build your network and entertainment too. So it's time with me. Anyways, my name is Ira Bowman. This has been you know, a fun show. I think we had some good questions. They were a little bit different than last week, which I appreciate because it gets boring answering the same questions over and over and over. So thank you for the variety. Thank you for your participation. I'm going to turn on the music and we're going to have some fun dancing away as I always do. And I will catch you again in just 12 hours. Well, 14 hours. Midnight my time. That's midnight Pacific time. So you have to time adjust. Right now, if you want to time adjust, you just add 14 hours. In 14 hours, I'll be back on. It's 10 o'clock. It's 10:08 in the morning here at midnight. So not noon, but at midnight, I'll be back on. I'll see y'all later.